Welcome back, ladies and gents, to another episode on the BarnBurner Sports Network. This is AJ Forbes, and I am joined by Noah Ambiel. What's up, buddy?
How we doing, AJ? Ready to talk some NFL football? We ready to do it?
Hell yeah, I'm
All
ready to do
right.
it. You ready to do it?
I mean, we might as well. Another great year for both of our teams. Joe
Yeah,
Milton.
no shit.
Joe Milton will go down in
Okay,
Patriots lore forever.
so we hit your 4 wins. We hit that mark. I think that was the last number. We started at 9. I think started at 9 or 10 at the first, before the season started. Then it just slowly kept trickling down and down. We hit 4. We got it.
We hit four. I think the hard
We hit
part
4.
was I think I started at like 5 before the season started. We beat the Bengals week 1, went up to about 8 or 9, thinking of like an outside in the hunt playoff team, and
Yep.
then went down quickly. Went real down real quick. And if you look back at the season, Patriots are one loss to the Bengals away from the number one overall pick, and the Bengals are one win over the Patriots away from being in the playoffs. It's kind of funny how two things work out there. But
Yep. Sure
yeah,
is.
as we hit, I mean, I got a little overreactive after the first week of the season. Let's just say that. And in my heart, I knew what this team was, and it wasn't very good. And now we're gonna go draft the bust Tedero McMillan at number 4 overall, and I'm not excited for it.
Bust.
He's got N'Keal Harry written all over him for me.
Oh, you just don't like wide receivers from the state of Arizona.
No, I'm just terrified of the Patriots drafting a wide receiver in the first round. Look how good Jalen Polk was. I mean, Roma Doomsday was pretty good, and then you got that Jalen McMillan, this balling over there, the two other Washington receivers, and we drafted the dud, the absolute dud. He had less than 100 yards receiving for the season, and he was our starting wide receiver. He was terrible, just absolutely terrible.
What's the name of that receiver that you guys have? His first name is Pop.
Oh, Demario Pop Douglas, yeah, that guy's
Yeah,
electric.
Pop Douglas.
That
Yeah.
guy's the man.
I
Love
like him a
Pop.
lot. I like him a
Yeah,
lot.
he's fun to watch. I mean, got the bad man away. We got the bad man out of town. We we did our 2 interviews today with the Rooney Rule. Got those done. And now we're turning the page over. We got Vrabel coming in Thursday. Probably going to be announced on Sunday. He's the new Patriot head coach.
I mean, that's kind of what the thought is, right? That was kind of the thought process of
Well,
most Patriots fans.
I think so. But then there's the fact that Ben Johnson said yes to 2 job interviews, and it was the Patriots and the Bears. And so would be fun to have Ben Johnson, but it just feels like all signs, like all the news is Vrabel did the interview with the Jets, and then the wheels started turning for the Patriots to fire Mayo. Vrabel on Thursday, like last Thursday before the game, changed his profile picture on Twitter that he hasn't done in a very long time to him playing as a Patriot. And then next thing you know, the heat around Mayo got even hotter. Then he's out of town. And now it seems like all signs point to Vrabel being the head coach. And it sounds rumored to be Josh McDaniels would be a package deal with him being the OC.
Really? How do you feel about
Rumored.
that?
Love it. Love it. Josh McDaniels is a perfect offensive coordinator. He made the playoffs with Mac Jones his first year,
I
and then
mean,
he left. Then look what Mac Jones did. Like it's just, and I think we'll say Alex Van Pelt. I'm not a huge fan, but he's developed Drake May and apparently Joe Milton pretty well. Like, say what you want about what the Bills are putting on the field, those are still NFL players that Joe Milton went 12 for 12 to start the game,
yep.
and like I think he's done a good job. Probably gonna get an unfair shake there, but it's just kind of the situation. It's
How long have we been waiting for a Joe Milton game?
a long time. I've been calling for it for a while. Been calling for it for a while. I love the Joe Milton experience. I mean, the nice part is we don't have to pay any money to a backup now. Like we have 2 quarterbacks on rookie
You have
contract,
him.
and we don't need to pay a backup $5 million to come be the backup quarterback or whatever it is nowadays. Like Jacoby Brissett, go take your happy ass out of town with Gerard Mayo and go get to Cancun and go hang out there for life. Like it's just one of those things that you had to go through this season, apparently, because in
Apparently.
Bill's contract, this is how it was. I hear there's a really big name out. He's on the recruiting trail right now. His name is Bill Belichick. Is he in the conversation? Who knows? It's just one of those things. Man, it's a tough time, but we got our guy. We got Drake, man. It's all that matters. If we,
No,
if we just, so I'll get. I know we're talking about real football here in a little bit, not Patriot football, because the Patriots don't play real football. We don't play NFL football. We play like the mid tier of college to NFL, somewhere in that gap. But man, let me tell you, this was a tough year. Tough
tough.
year. Tough year. And it's just one of those things. But Drake May is the guy. We have $130 million in cap space. I don't think we'll get T. Higgins. I really don't. But
That'd be super nice.
if we aren't in the conversation of offering him like $40 million a year, because you can easily, if we're not in that conversation, it's gonna be hard to take it seriously. It's one of those things where it's like we know we're just gonna suck forever now. But if like you're in the conversation, you still don't get him, but you offered him the most money, but he wanted to stay in Cincinnati or whatever it shakes out to be. I get it. But the effort needs to be there. I think that for Patriot fans on Twitter that I've seen, that's like point A. Offer T. Higgins everything you got and see what happens. Because I mean that's the only way it's going to get better. We can't draft a wide receiver to save our lives, so it's just easier that way. Let somebody else draft him, get him after the fifth year, and hope they're
Yeah.
still good.
No, I mean, obviously, when you talk about the Patriots, receiver is the number one need. Like you just said, Patriots Nation is in dire need of a guy like T. Higgins. He immediately becomes the number one guy. You have Drake May as your quarterback. I mean, if you bring in Josh McDaniels all of a sudden, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
great get. That's a great get as an offensive coordinator. And then you love Brett, and everybody loves Vrabel.
I I would
That'd be a great situation.
I'd love Vrabel to be the head coach. Like I think in my mind, Vrabel's the right guy. Ben Johnson's like the cute side piece you got, and you're like, but what if?
Hmm.
But there is no what if. The Vrabel's the guy. Like this is our guy. He's married to this franchise forever. He missed the bye week of the when the Titans were the one seed. He missed the bye week to come get inducted to the Patriots Hall of Fame. He just said, "I'm going to go here for a couple days. I'll be back." Like that's crazy for an NFL head coach. Like this is where
Hmm.
he's always wanted to be in my mind. It's a perfect marriage. Kraft's still in charge. Feels like I think I said when he got fired that we'd find out this week that Mike Vrabel is the new coach. When Mayo got fired, that Vrabel will be the new coach this week. I think we'll hear this weekend that it's Vrabel. I honestly do because I think they'll do their thing with Ben Johnson this week too, since he's on the bye.
Yep.
I think it's gonna be quick. I think they're not gonna let anybody have the opportunity to get him. And Vrabel going to interview with the Jets just triggered Kraft to like we can't let him go there.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for it. I hope it
No.
happens.
No, we talked about this earlier today when it was happening, but going back to former players or coaches that have been with the team and are now interviewing with the team, Rex Ryan, he had the
Rex
head coaching
Ryan.
interview with the Jets. Rex Ryan, he is great on TV. I love watching him on TV. I think the NFL is better with Rex Ryan as a head coach. I
I
do.
I
I genuinely
agree.
do. I
I
think I don't know about how good of a job he would do. I think he's had a long time to prepare. I think 2018 was the last time he was in Buffalo for a while. I think it was 2018 was the last time he was a coach. He was a 500 coach to end his career, right? I think he's taken this time and he seems really passionate about trying to come back and coach. I was listening to his episode on the pivot, and he was like in tears talking about how much he loves ball and like how much he
yeah.
loves to coach. Like he is so passionate about this, and you'd have to believe that he has taken this time away from being a coach to try to set himself up to be the best he can be when or if that opportunity ever arose. And now it's here. I mean, the Jets just interviewed him today. This is Tuesday, January 7th. Interviewed him this morning. And I would love to see that. I think the Jets need a culture shifter. And if he is nothing else, Rex Ryan is a culture shifter. He's basically laid out the outline of his blueprint on GetUp for like the
Yeah.
last month and a half, something like that. But I would love to see Rex Ryan back on an NFL field.
Do you think this will cause other teams to interview him as well, or do you think it's just gonna be like the Jets and nobody else?
Yeah,
Or do you
yeah.
think
Well,
for him,
so
or do you think for him it's the Jets or nobody else?
I want for me, that's twofold for me. One, I think he really wants to be the head coach of the Jets again. I think he is. I think he is a Jet. Um, I think he is emotionally attached to that team. And then going back to that episode that I listened to when he
Mhm.
was on the pivot, it sounds like he kind of got blackballed out of coaching. I don't know why. He didn't really go into the details of why, but there was a point where he was just he wanted to be a head coach and he didn't want to take a coordinator job. And then it was, I believe it was like the Cowboys were they had a DC opening and he put his name in there and he didn't hear anything. Like there was just no team that wanted to hire him even as a defensive coordinator, and he's a
Hmm.
defensive genius.
Yeah.
Like in this day and age of coordinators taking jobs as head coaches, a lot of them are offensive coordinators. You see guys like D'Amico Ryans, Bob Sala, even though his team wasn't very successful, his defense was top three in the league every
Yeah.
year. It felt like defensive head coaches work. We're going to see Aaron Glenn come out of Detroit here. It sounds like he might have a contract in the works with the Saints coming up.
Flores is in some conversations too.
Flores, Brian Flores is going to get his second shot at being a head coach.
Stay
Defensive.
away from New England, please God.
No, I would love to see Rex Ryan be a head coach again. I'm not, like I said, I'm not sure why he made it sound like he was blackballed from getting a job during these past, what has it been, almost, what is it,
Six,
2025, six,
6, 7 years.
8, 7, 7, 8 years, however long it's been. I would love that though. I would love to see him back on the sideline.
Now hear me with the what if. What if you get the package deal of Rex and Rob Ryan coming down there to New Orleans to take over?
I would like that. I mean, Rob he's already been in
Yeah.
New Orleans.
That's what I was kind of
He
thinking. Like they got the ties there a little bit, where it's like
yeah,
maybe. I do think it's Rex Ryan. I do think it's the Jets or nothing for
I
him.
think it's
It
the
seems
Jets or
like,
nothing.
which I get because I agree he is attached to that team forever. It feels like I mean that's the best they've been in decades. Was when he was there. Like for
Literally.
lack, I mean, it's crazy.
What was it? Two or three AFC championship games?
Yeah, they beat the Patriots in one of the divisional rounds, but we don't need to talk about it. It's fine. Like
No, there's what is it today? Um, Antonio Pierce got fired today. There's
canned.
six, yeah. There's six firings that have happened since the middle of the season.
Patriots, Raiders, Jags, Bears,
Jets.
Saints, Jets.
Yep. And the average is usually 9 or 10. So I don't know. I don't know how many more heads are gonna roll. I don't necessarily know if I saw Antonio Pierce getting fired. I'm not a huge fan of these one and done contract deals. Like I was listening to Rob Gronkowski when he was talking on Fox. He was talking about how Gerard Mayo got fired. I mean, they were teammates, so I'm sure I mean, I'm sure Gronk had a little bit of an emotional connection to that whole news situation there, but he was sitting right next to Jimmy Johnson, and he explained like, hey, like Jimmy Johnson, Hall of Fame head coach, won a few Super Bowls. He went 1-15 his first season. Can you imagine what the Cowboys would have looked like if they just fired a Hall of Fame head coach after the first season?
It's pretty crazy. I think it's tough too, like because Jimmy Johnson was so successful at the University of Miami before he went there, where like Mayo and Pierce, they really like this is their first time. I think
Yeah, you're
that makes
right.
it tough. I think
That's a little
that's the
different.
I think that's the tough part. I don't love it. In my problem is I love that the Patriots did it just because it felt like the right move. It just didn't. Mayo is like this whole year's been weird. Like he'll go to the press on like the day after the game, he'll call out like two players in the press post presser. Then he'll come back on Monday or Tuesday morning whenever he does the interview, be like, I didn't mean that. Sorry, my bad. And I'm like, I just don't. it just felt weird. And like, I know it's just the media, but I do think too, like who you are with the media, somewhat similar of who you're going to be in the locker room,
For sure.
somewhat, where it's like, I don't know, like it just didn't feel like the right things. And it's again, it's the first time head coach thing. Like it's the first time doing all these interviews all the time. It's not easy to do. Like it's just it's a tough situation for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's tough because every team wants to win tomorrow, and
Now.
it's just
Yeah.
impossible. Like
Yeah.
there can only be what is it, 14 teams in the playoffs, 7-7, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So there's 14 teams in the playoffs each year, and there's going to be 18 that are just looking to see what goes next.
Disappointed. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I will say, I love that the Giants kept Dayball and
Agreed.
um, whoever their general manager is. I don't know, just knowing from the clips of him saying we don't need Saquon right now, which I don't disagree with. Like I know like that gets picked in a bad light with what Saquon did this year and everything like that. But the Giants weren't a running back away from being good this year. Let's not kid ourselves. That's
I
a
think
whole
I think the main issue with that whole situation was that they decided to pay Daniel Jones instead of Saquon Barkley.
yeah. They cornered themselves there was the
They
problem.
did.
100%. They screwed themselves and they just looked terrible. But I don't know. Maybe we should stop talking about these disgruntled franchises and get to the happy stuff of the BarnBurner Sports NFL Awards of 2024.
2024 BarnBurner Sports NFL End of Season Awards for the NFL. We're
Yes.
starting off slow, starting off at the rookie awards, and we're working our way up to the MVP. All right. I'm gonna have you go first because I'm interested. Some of these awards can go a few different ways. I'm interested to see what you have for the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year for 2024.
I think this rookie class this year is almost record breaking. Like, if you think about it, Malik Neighbors, you got him breaking the catch record in a competition with Brock Bowers, who ended with it because his game was later that day. And then you got Brian Thomas Jr. in there in Jacksonville that nobody even looked at, really, just being a stud for most of the year. Then you got four quarterbacks that didn't have a bad year. Like Caleb didn't have a great year, but like you look at his stats, probably one of the best Bear quarterback seasons in forever.
First Bears quarterback to have 4,000 yards passing in a season.
Best Bears quarterback season ever. Never mind, no, maybe about it. That is the best Bears quarterback season ever. And then you got Drake May looked great in New England, but mine came down to Bo Nix and Jaden Daniels, and I leaned Jaden Daniels. I know it's a pretty popular pick or whatever you want to say, but you took a Commanders team to a 12-win team in the playoffs. Like that cannot be understated. Like that is an amazing year. And it's just hard to deny what he did. They won a lot of those games because of him. He didn't really feel like it lost him games at any point. Like he go out, throw 3 picks and 5 touchdowns, still win the football game. Like it was just one of those things where he's got feels like the Commanders might have some magic going into this playoff run. But yeah, Jaden Daniels just felt like the biggest difference maker for me. And if you can get the Commanders in the playoffs, you're probably going to win this award every time.
I know. So when I was trying to make my picks for these awards, I was struggling with who I believe should have been the offensive rookie of the year, or just any of these who should have won the award, and who I think will win the award.
Yep.
I think Jaden Daniels will win the award. One, he's a
Agreed.
quarterback. Two, they're in the playoffs. Three, he's electric. Right? I mean, when you get media attention, when you're a quarterback and your team wins games and you're in the playoffs, especially for a Washington Commanders team or a Washington franchise that hasn't done a whole lot of anything since like RG3, you know?
And they won a lot of primetime games too. That's the other thing.
Yes.
Like they got some
Yes.
spotlight late in the season. Like the Bears game was, I know it wasn't primetime, but like the Hail Mary throw, everybody saw. Like, it's just like they got into those windows where they were on TV and like they were the standalone game at some point of the game where I feel like everybody saw them too. Where like if
Mhm.
you're Bo Nix, I mean, nobody's really watching Denver at 225 play football. Let's be real here.
No, I agree. But so my pick, I picked Brock Bowers. Why did you pick Brock Bowers?
It's a great pick.
We have never seen a tight end as a rookie make the impact that he has had this year, ever. And we can look at, we look at awards, and usually if you see someone do something that has never ever been done before, usually he wins the award, right? We saw that with the Heisman Trophy ceremony, first two-way starter, blah, 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 Travis Hunter. There's never been a more impactful rookie tight end in the history of the NFL. Broke the record for most catches in a season by a rookie, period.
Yes.
Not by a tight end, by a rookie. Had well over 1,000 yards. I'm not sure if he broke that record or not by a tight end.
I
I can't
assume he
remember.
did.
I assume he did. He was the number one option for a Raiders team again who struggled this year, didn't play very well, didn't win a lot of games, but he
With three
was
different quarterbacks.
with three different quarterbacks. He broke the receptions record, had well over 1,000 yards, was the number one option for the Raiders this year. The main thing that's going to hurt his chances of winning Rookie of the Year is overall team success. And that's going to be the case for every award that we talk about going forward in this
100%.
in this episode. But for me, Brock Bowers did the most with the least and had the best rookie season a tight end has ever had. And I think that needs to be awarded. So Brock Bowers, you are my pick for Offensive Rookie of the Year.
He had he was the best statistical receiving tight end in football this year.
Yes.
Period. It
Period.
just didn't like it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. It was pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. I'm a big Brock Bowers guy. I wish he could win this award, but I just feel like I know it's gonna go to Jane Daniels. Unfortunately, I do have a Bo Nix ticket that I wish would cash, but that's just not gonna happen. I don't think it's.
Late in the season, towards the end here, Bo Nix made a hell of a push.
I
One to
know, and then
get the Broncos into the playoffs, but two to get his name on the ballot for
100%. It is
Offensive Rookie of
pretty.
the Year.
It is pretty crazy thing in the Broncos situation, dude. They haven't been to the playoffs since Peyton Manning won the Super Bowl
Correct.
because they Manning rode off to the sunset. They had nobody else to play quarterback, and
Mm-mm.
that defense was still really good, but still it's just insane that they haven't been since then. But yeah, Bo Nick. I mean, there are so many rookies that had a great year this year. It's pretty on offense, especially. It's just
Mhm.
pretty incredible, honestly.
Yeah. Bo Nix would probably get my third spot. It'd probably go Brock Bowers, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix. That's probably how it would go for me.
Yeah, I don't hate that order at all. I think I agree with that order. But now, defensive rookie of the year, AJ, who you got?
So this is not going to be a sexy pick. Again, this is going to be a conflict of who I believe will win and who I believe deserves to win. If you look at the betting odds, Jared Verse, the end for the Rams, he is the odds-on favorite to win Defensive Rookie of the Year. Who you will not see, more than likely, is his teammate, Braden Fisk. Plays on the D-line. He is a defensive tackle. He's a second-round pick out of Florida State. Both of these guys were teammates out of Florida State before this season, which is cool.
Really cool.
However, Braden Fisk for me is going to be my defensive rookie of the year. He's a defensive tackle. I can't remember the last time a defensive tackle besides Aaron Donald has won rookie of the year. It might have been Sue. It might have been Sue
Might
way
have
back
been.
in the day. There's Aaron, so it's Aaron Donald and Sue. That's a hell of a company to keep. But Braden Fisk, I say him because he has twice as many sacks as Jared Verse, who is propped up to be a dynamic pass rusher, which he is. He has Braden Fisk as a D tackle, as a rookie, has 8.5 sacks, leads all rookies in sacks. He is second among rookies in forced fumbles, and he has 10 tackles for loss, which is one less than Jared Verse. And he is playing inside. Not only is he a dynamic rusher, as a pass rusher, he is a dynamic run defender because he is great with his hands. He has great effort. He has awesome moves. If you want to go look at some teach state stuff, go look at some Braden Fisk. I mean, he's a freak athlete. We saw that at the combine, at his pro day. He's a freak athlete. He is my pick for defensive rookie of the year. He will not win it, more than likely. I don't even know if he has odds, frankly. but he is my pick.
I think it is crazy too. You got to think about he's kind of the guy, not to like you can't replace Aaron Donald, but he's the guy that had to play D tackle pretty much after Aaron Donald.
Correct.
Like it's pretty crazy what he's done this year. I don't hate the pick at all. I think Verse is obviously like the easy pick to make, but I got two guys for you. Got two guys, historic seasons. Cooper DeJean and
There it
Riley
is.
Moss
I
will
was
be
like,
holding that trophy up there from BarnBurner Sports Network, up there on the stage together. Trendsetters, first corners to start that look like us since the 90s. And man, did we get exposed by T. Higgins? Let's not. That's Cooper DeJean gets to hold most of the trophy. Riley Moss, you could put a finger or two on it. Like maybe you could have got on T. Higgins all game. It was just that performance hurt. I can't lie, but
that set us back 20 years.
it felt like it might. But man, this Cooper DeJean guy, let me tell you, when you get to watch Cooper DeJean these playoffs, just get ready. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen most of the time, but it's going to be fun. It's going to
Is
be
that your
fun.
is
So,
that your is that your God's honest pick for defensive rookie of the year?
no, my honest pick would be Verse. Like
All
just
right,
the,
there you go.
but
Okay. All right.
but
No, I love that.
my
No,
my barn burner sports pick is those two.
we
I want
got
it. I
you.
want it on the graphic that it is those two guys, and then in parentheses Jared Verse. But historic season for those two. We've been taught a lot of history of this rookie class, man. Just I'm
Well,
excited. I think this is a great. This is one. I will say, like, not, all joking aside, it feels like this rookie class is so much better than the class is going to come in next year. That's just not even close as far as
mm,
like the skill positions go, especially. But the gritty positions, like you got Joe Walt playing tackle out there,
mm,
just dominating. He went to the right, like don't get me wrong, went to the right place and everything, but like just dominating out there. And you
mm.
got guys like Braden Fisk on defense, just mucking it up in the middle.
Yeah.
I just it's a fun overall class.
Do you think going back to offensive rookie of the year, I guess, do you think an offensive lineman will ever win offensive rookie of the year?
No,
I think Quentin Nelson was the closest. I
it
want to
would
say he
be
got second or third.
it would be people would view it as disrespectful to the offensive line to do that. I feel like you could be respecting them in a way, but it's just not an offensive lineman thing to get that award.
Yeah, you're right. Which sucks because I think Quentin Nelson is one of maybe two guys who have ever been a first team All Pro as a rookie and not won their respective Rookie of the Year awards.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It is
It
pretty
is pretty
crazy.
crazy.
The Chargers tried at the beginning. They ran the whole Joe Alt Delete campaign there for a
Hmm.
second, which is an awesome name, by the way.
Awesome.
The hard part about trying to make an offensive rookie of the year campaign for an offensive lineman is if you have one mess up, you're done. I mean, it's done. No one watches the game to watch offensive line play. I'm the outlier. I'm going to be different about it, but you give up one sack, you have one false start, you miss one block, the whole campaign's gone. So
It's gone.
yeah, not to mention they have to compete with all these skinny fast guys that make all the money and
I think the only way to do it would be have Ben Johnson be your head coach and just run a million hook and
literally,
ladders to your tackle that they have to give it to you.
literally. Gosh. All right, rookies out of the way. Let's go to offensive players of the year. I'll start with this one. I think there's two options. My option is going to be Saquon Barkley. It it would have been so poetic for him to play against the Giants in the last week of the season. He was 100 yards away from the NFL rushing record that was set back in 84, 86, 85, 84,
Somewhere.
somewhere in
It,
there. It was mid 80s. Eric Dickerson set the rushing record with 2105, and it hasn't been touched since. We were 100 yards away from seeing that, and he could have broke it against his old team that refused to pay him. That would have been poetic. With that to the side, we have a 2,000-yard rusher it's hard to see anymore with the advent of the passing game in the modern NFL. 2,000-yard rusher. He elevated this Eagles team to the point where they were last year, but he filled that gap that they were missing, right? They needed that running game. Jalen Hurts was really their running game. He was their goal line back. There were so many times in the year last year with the Eagles, especially as of late and in the playoffs, where you were like, man, if they could just step on their throat, if they could just finish out a game. That is why they brought in Saquon. I mean, he's been electric this year. He has like, if you want to talk about total yards, he has like somewhere between 24 and 2,600 total yards, something like that. I can't remember, but he is my pick. He has been the most impactful. It also helps that he is also on a team that did get the number 2 seed in the NFC, so that helps. But he was a 2,000-yard rusher. He almost broke the rushing record. Feel like you got to give it to that guy. The only other guy, I'm not sure who you're picking. The only other guy that I would consider would be Jamar Chase. That'd be the only other option.
That's my pick, Jamar Chase. You know, there's only been 4 guys to win the Triple Crown. Like, yeah, like at the end, I know he didn't get the record. He was really close, but he's not the Saquon's not like he is the most recent. But Derrick Henry did it to 2000 not that long ago either,
Yeah.
and where
Generational back, Hall of Fame
generate.
back.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with all of it. But it's just this Jamar Chase guy is unguardable. And he did it on a contract. Like not a contract year, but like they didn't pay him.
They,
He did held out for a while. Everybody's like, oh, this guy stinks. Like after the first game when Christian Gonzalez locked him up the whole game. Um, besides the point. But yeah, Jamar Chase is my guy. I think that I know his team didn't have the success that probably is needed, but man, what a year! Any, I will always give it to the Triple Crown guy. I can't help it. I can't help
yeah,
it. It's so rare that I feel like you have to do it. It would be pretty crazy. I think it was Pat McAfee today talking about it. What if Saquon missed out on the record of the rushing record, misses out on Offensive Player of the Year because they give it to Jamar Chase, and they lose in the playoffs and don't win a Super Bowl, and he loses all 3 things? Would
they get nothing.
get nothing besides the really fun season and the backwards hurdle that everybody will talk about forever. But um, yeah, I think Jamar Chase is my guy in this. I think it's gonna be Saquon, maybe. I don't know. I think it's gonna be close. I think it's gonna
I
be.
don't know.
I don't know if
This
they
is going to be
release.
close.
Do they release the votes or do they just
I
or
feel
did,
they think they'll get released one way or another. This might be the
because
closest offensive player of the year voting in a long time
I think this will be the closest vote. Like this will be the closest voting of the whole of
of
all
the
of it,
year.
probably.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
So
agree. No,
I can see it going either way.
I mean, you watch a Cincinnati Bengals game. I mean, he's like you said, he's literally unguardable. There was an entire drive. I think it was the opening drive of their last game this past week, where it was Jamar Chase, Jamar Chase, Jamar Chase. It looked like he was walking, like
Yeah.
he was just getting open. He was catching balls, and then boom, Jamar Chase touchdown. It was just easy, and that's. I mean, it helps when you have Joe Burrow as your quarterback, but it also helps when you're Joe Burrow and you're throwing to a guy like Jamar Chase. So you can take that both ways.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be mad. I mean, this is like the offensive rookie of the year voting where you can just flip the coin and be like, oh yeah, it was this ended up being Jamar Chase. Oh yeah, he deserved it. Oh, Saquon Barkley. Oh yeah, he deserved it.
I think they need to make this a like just wipe not the name, but like this needs to be like for sure a non-quarterback award. Like I know it's
I
kind of
agree.
lean that way right now, but the voters could easily say we'll give Josh Allen the MVP and we'll give Lamar the Offensive Player of the Year
Yeah.
and just divvy it up. Where I think let's just eliminate the quarterbacks from this conversation
No.
because like you can almost argue with the year Joe Burrow had, he could be Offensive Player of the Year.
Yeah. No,
Like he's not. Is he
100%.
the most valuable to his team? I don't like valuable player. No, probably not this year. His stats would say otherwise, obviously. But like you could definitely give him offensive player of the year. You give Lamar offense. You give Josh. Like you could give it to any of those 3 quarterbacks, and nobody would bat an eye.
Yep. I
But
mean, the last non-quarterback to win the award was over 10 years ago. It was AP. back in 2012 when he was 9 yards away from the rushing record.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
No, I 100% agree with you. I think it's almost one of those deals where you understand that it's a quarterback award unless you have somebody who is doing something that's never been done before. For example, I thought JJ Watt should have won the MVP. What was it? Maybe 10 years ago, however long it was, when he had like 20 sacks and he was playing offense and he had 3 touchdowns and he had picks and blah 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 blah
Hmm.
blah. He probably should have won MVP on that one. I can't remember
But
who
yeah.
won it instead of him, but like it's kind of understood that the MVP award is a quarterback award. Therefore, we have to make these offensive player of the year awards non-quarterback awards. I think they were talking about
Mhm.
that on the Pat McAfee show today too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been a point of contention for a while because you're right. I mean, you can look at Lamar's stats or Joe Burrow's stats and be like, oh yeah, they're the best offensive players. They can go ahead and take offensive player of the year. It'd
Yeah,
be
and these
like a it'd
vote
be like a cheap way to get both of them in.
exactly. And these guys have voter fatigue just be like, yeah, we're just gonna split the vote. We'll put Lamar here, we'll put Josh there, and just Lamar doesn't get another MVP, but he still gets recognized. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't know.
It's see
It's a
like
tough one.
yeah, and I guess we'll get to it when we start talking about MVP awards. I'm looking at the offensive player of the year awards. We have Christian McCaffrey last year, Justin Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Derrick Henry, Michael Thomas. Patrick Mahomes was the last quarterback to win offensive player of the year back in 2018. Who won the
Okay.
2018 MVP? 2018 MVP was Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
That was his 5,000 yard 50 touchdown season.
Yeah.
So
100%. Makes
so that
sense.
so that kind of makes sense.
Forget Mr. Slant won a Offensive Player of the Year award.
I know. Well, I mean, he was did he break the receptions record?
When you run slants all day, it's pretty
I think he
easy.
did. I think he did. I wonder what Michael Thomas is doing nowadays.
Saw him on the sideline during the Ohio State Oregon game.
Naturally. Nice.
Naturally. Yeah. Guy sticks out like a sore thumb.
All right, Noah, let's move on to our defensive player of the year talk. Who you got?
Oh, I feel I don't feel as good about this one. I think it's I will I feel like I'm such a TJ Watt homer in these situations that you could always give it to him and I wouldn't be mad. But the fact that nobody had like a big sack season really, I think Trey Henderson had 16 and a half and that was the most.
17 and a half.
17 and a half and that was the most. The FAU product, the Owls, if anybody did not know. Um,
Saints draft pick.
true. True. I remember him on the Saints. Gosh, why'd you get rid of him?
That's a
Just didn't
great
pay him.
question. Go look at that 2016 draft class for the Saints and tell me that that's not the best draft class in history.
I will check it out. But yeah, I hope they go Pat Surtain. I really do. I mean the odds are showing that it's going to go that way, but I really hope they go Pat Surtain because I think a corner getting this award just not like gives hope to other DBs and stuff, but like I think it's a good spot of where the game's at and like how important having a good corner is and like being
Mhm.
able and I think you wrote this in the notes or whatever too about it. It was like you don't really have that many stats as a corner,
Yeah,
but you almost don't want your corner to have stats because that means he's getting the ball thrown on him all the time.
bingo.
Like you want this to be like we're not throwing it his way, and if we do, we're probably gonna be like we have to be careful because
Yep.
like he had 2 picks that I can't remember what game it was. He had like 2 picks
He,
and he had a pick six in the same game or something. Like
yeah, he had
the
a
guy's unreal.
he has a 100 yard pick six.
Yeah, I hope they give it to him because that opens the door for Christian Gonzalez in the future.
I was looking at it, um, and like you said, there was really nobody who came out as a front runner when it came to the defensive player of the year conversation. There's no one who you said everything. There's no one who came had a whole bunch of sacks. There's no one real front runner throughout the whole season. I think TJ Watt was the betting favorite for most of the year. But I was looking at Pat Surtain and I was like, why? because, like you said, don't watch a lot of Broncos games. Watch a couple, but don't get to watch a lot of Broncos games. And when you watch tape of a corner, you really have to focus on the corner to see what his production looks like. Because, like you said, a really good corner's production isn't in the stats; it's in the tape. And you have to be pretty intentional when you watch that. Didn't watch a whole lot of Broncos games anyway. Didn't get the opportunity to do it. So I was doing research on what Pat Surtain has done this season. The stats aren't gaudy, but when people are throwing his way, he shuts down the entire halves of the field. The lowest passer rating in the league this year was Anthony Richardson with the 61. I couldn't tell you how passer rating is calculated, but Anthony Richardson had the worst at 61. All right.
That would have been
When
that. Also, that would have been my guess who had the worst one.
well, I mean, it wasn't a hard guess, but Anthony Richardson had the lowest passer rating in the league at 61. When quarterbacks throw Pat Surtain's away, their passer rating is a 56. So every time they throw his way, they become the worst quarterback in the NFL. That is an awesome, awesome way of looking at the production that he has had on the field. And then one other stat. I'm not a huge fan of these advanced metric stats, but again, with a corner, you have to start looking at some of those things.
Yeah.
EPA is estimated points added, and that's what you can look at that over the course of a game, over the course of snaps, however you want to look at it. Based on EPA while he's in coverage, his EPA is negative 25. That means he is taking away 25 points from from opposing offenses while he's in coverage.
That's nuts.
I mean, think about that. You throw this guy's way, you turn into the worst quarterback in the NFL, and you lose 25 points.
Josh Allen to throw a pick to Pat Surtain, cash it this weekend. Wow,
See,
that's crazy. I think the
yeah,
hard part too about you do have to like watch the film and you kind of have to watch like with a corner like how they're lined up and like
yeah, you
even
have to
like
be intentional.
the position of their body to see if it's zone man and if they're shadowing a guy or if, like there's a lot to go into watching a corner play. I I do enjoy it. I think when I went to the Patriots Cardinal game here, I think most of it was just me watching Christian Gonzalez just cover Marvin Harrison Jr. because it was so
It's
intriguing.
beautiful.
Like
I mean,
it's
you
when you
you
got a guy that
see,
can do it well, it's so fun to watch.
yes,
Like it's
absolutely.
just like they try to throw like two 50-50 balls to Marv like in the back of the end zone that game. He breaks them both up and just act like it's nothing new. Like it's just it's corner is the weirdest position in football to me. It's like it doesn't feel like you're playing football. I feel like it doesn't
Mhm.
look like they're playing football, but they're such an integral piece of football that it just makes no corner makes no sense to me. Could never once did I want to ever think about going out there to
Best,
do that. But it's just hardest
no,
position to play in football almost maybe.
yeah, yeah. I
Besides,
would
like you
say
don't get the physicality of everything else in football, like with the rules the way they are and everything like that, and like how important, especially in the NFL with spot penalties on pass interference, it's one of the most important positions on the field.
I would gladly argue that corner has to be your most athletic position.
Yes,
I mean,
a
you have
hundred
to
percent.
you have to be as fast as someone running for just to put this into context. You have to be just as fast running backwards as someone you're covering is running forwards. They know what they're doing. You don't know what they're doing, but you have to run backwards and try to make sure that they don't get the ball. Like that's
Yeah,
insane. Like you think about that just in a vacuum, that's an insane responsibility of someone to do,
yeah. And then you got to
and
guard guys that run a 4-3
exactly.
forward and know where they're going. Makes
Exactly.
it's unbelievable.
Here's a good trivia question for you. Who was the last safety to win Defensive Player of the Year?
Troy Polamalu.
That a boy. Good for you. Good for you. I had a kid. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm just trying to look at different outliers here. So
yes.
we got Stephon Gilmore, Patriot.
That guy was different.
Different. Different. Gilly Lock.
Gilly Lock. I miss that guy. He could come play
And
for the Patriots tomorrow, and I would still be happy.
and then you see a bunch of JJ Watts here. Khalil Mack, he's on there. Now I'm just having fun. I'm just taking a look at all these names. A lot of these guys were like our prime childhood.
100%.
The biggest, I think the coolest one really is Bob Sanders. Back in
Bob
'07.
Sanders.
Bob, he was a
Who?
safety. He was a safety for the Colts. He was like a 5'8" guy from Iowa.
Oh, I never would have got that one.
Dude, he's a missile.
I got
He like literally hurt himself because of how hard he hit guys. The only season where he played every game, he won Defensive Player of the Year.
I got to go watch some Bob Sanders film.
Dude, you will I might put some in right now.
I'm looking at it. I'm going on YouTube.
No, so
Also, I'm looking at
those are our
that
picks.
draft class that you talked about.
Oh, the 2016 Saints draft class?
Sheldon, is it the Sheldon Rankins, Michael Thomas, Von Bell? That one?
Yes. Yes.
Pretty solid
Wait,
class.
no. Hold on. It might have been Saints. It was the year that Ryan Ramczyk was it one of our first? Yes, here we go. It was 2017. Sorry. So 2017. Sorry about that. 2017 Saints draft class. The first 6 picks were Marshawn Lattimore, Ryan Ramczyk, Marcus Williams, Alvin Kamara, Alex Anzalone, and Trey Hendrickson.
God damn.
That has to be the greatest draft in history.
It's a pretty good class. It's a
That's
pretty good class right
That's
there.
an insane draft class. So
I
like
don't
what
disagree with that.
was Marshawn Lattimore ever an all pro? He was Pro Bowl. He's a Pro Bowl guy.
Well, the Pro Bowl. Who wants to go to the Pro Bowl?
Well, anymore who wants to go to the Pro Bowl? Ryan Ramczyk was an all pro guy. Trey Hendrickson is an all pro guy. Alex Anzalone's doing a lot of good things with Detroit now. Alvin Kamara has been arguably the best two-way back with Christian McCaffrey. Marcus Williams was a great safety for us for a while. He is the guy with the the Minnesota Miracle. God bless him for that.
Yep.
That was tough. That was Marcus Williams. I hate that that's how I remember him by because he was so good. He really was. He was so good.
You'll never forget him for that either.
No. But greatest draft class of all time, 2017 Saints draft class. Anyway, back on track.
MVP.
Yes. Go.
I'll go. Okay. Everybody knows how I stand here. I don't think this is a shock to anybody where I'm going. This is Josh Allen all day long. There's no conversation needed. This is Josh Allen's award. He has nothing on his team, and he's doing has the best year of his career. He's the best. Is there any? I hate that I have to root against this guy. As a Patriot fan, I really do. I'm a big fan of Josh Allen, big fan. But man, did it feel good to beat him on Sunday? Let me tell you. But I think he's just head and shoulders been the best quarterback all year, in my opinion. I'm a big fan. Not many weapons. Amari Cooper, perfect addition for that team, but like that's his quote unquote number one receiver, or it's Keon Coleman. Like,
Yeah.
It's what he's done with what he has, I think just elevates the year he had more than anybody else. So to me, without Josh Allen on that team, they're not a playoff team. So I think
No,
Josh Allen's the guy.
I mean, what really I've been of the opinion that Josh Allen was the MVP for a while now. The main argument against him is what Lamar Jackson has been doing. And if it was just a statistics thing, we would pump statistics into a computer and we would let the computer tell us who is the MVP. Josh Allen does
And the
not have a
computer would
1,000.
come back with Joe Burrow.
And it very well might. Josh Allen doesn't have a running back with 1,000 yards. He does not have a wide receiver with 1,000 yards. He has 2 Pro Bowl teammates compared to Lamar Jackson's 9.
Jeez.
Lamar Jackson has Derrick Henry, and I don't want to talk down on any one player because this is one of those situations. No, we get your Lamar Jackson. Yeah, I get it. I think if you've been following BarnBurner Sports for literally any period of time, you will understand that no one does not like Lamar Jackson. But when you're looking at the way that that Josh Allen, rather, the way that he has elevated his teammates to the point to where they're the number 2 seed in the playoffs. He's having the best year of his career. He is the only quarterback to beat both number 1 seeds in either conference. And going back to the stats deal, he has missed really what equates to 11 full quarters.
It's insane.
What if he played those 11 full quarters? We saw Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry the other night. They were up 28 to 3. It was or 28 to whatever it was. They were up by multiple double digits. And they still had the starters in. Derrick Henry ripped off that 50-yard, that long touchdown run. They were trying so hard to get into 2000, and I appreciate the hell out of them for it. But Josh Allen is my MVP. The stats aren't going to show it. If you're a Lamar Jackson lover, I understand it. He is arguably having the best year of his career. He has 41 touchdown passes. He has like 4 interceptions. I get it. All right. If it's any kind of makeup prize, just imagine that the MVP that he won last year is this year, and imagine that the MVP for this year was last year for Josh Allen. If that's any kind of contingency, because we can all say that Lamar Jackson probably should not have won the MVP last year. We can just say that we can switch these seasons and call it good, I think.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I just can't wait to see how early Lamar gets out in the playoffs this year.
Well, since we agreed so easily on the MVP, let's talk about the playoff picture. Last thing.
All right. So we're going over to Houston. We're going to start in the AFC. We're going to go with the Houston, Texas hosting the Los Angeles Chargers. Jim Harbaugh led versus DeMeco Ryans. 2 hard-nosed coaches, really. 2 hard-nosed coaches. You got what everybody believes is a fluttering Texans team, and you got just a gritty football team. There's no other way to put it. You got a team that believes in their head coach more than anybody else, it feels like, besides Dan Campbell. And man, what a matchup we got start. We got the Chargers are favored by 2.5 on the road. AJ, what do you think's going to happen in this game?
I don't like this Houston Texans team as of late. I really don't. I don't. They're not playing their best football. Of course, they're the 4 seed. They're the home team, but I don't think two. What do you say? 2.5 was the spread.
Correct.
I don't think that's enough. Frankly, I think this Chargers team is hot. Justin Herbert looks awesome. Harbaugh is doing his thing. That defense looks good. They're going to run that down your throat. That ball down your throat. I should probably specify on that a little bit.
Might want
It's
to.
going to feel like it's going to run it down your throat is what it's going to feel like.
Whoa.
But no, if as far as picks go, I have the quote unquote upset in terms of seeding Chargers over Houston.
I think they're going to be high-fiving a lot down there in Houston.
Yep.
Give me the Chargers. You got too much. I think you got too much Chargers in a way. You got Quentin Johnson out there looking like an actual receiver this year. You got Ladd McConkey just looking like what everybody thought Ladd McConkey would look like going into the NFL. I love this Chargers team. Justin Herbert, what a year. I love this team. I probably would love any Jim Harbaugh coach team just because of who Jim Harbaugh is, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think I got the Chargers there as well. Then we're gonna head over to Baltimore, and we got the NFC or AFC North matchup between the 3-seeded Ravens and the 6-seeded Pittsburgh Steelers coming in on a 4-game losing skid after having a pretty good look to it. And man, have they looked bad. And man, is George Pickens drama. But man, they play the Ravens tough every time, AJ. I'm going to go to you again first. What do you got?
No, that's great. No,
The spread is 9.5, by the way. Sorry. Add that in there. 9.5 point spread.
Oh, that's great. I think anytime we're talking about an AFC North game, it's always good football. We had this doubleheader this last Saturday It was all AFC North football. It was awesome. I mean, those are some of the most historic teams in the history of the NFL, and they always play good football. 9.5 is a pretty good line, I think, especially considering it is a divisional playoff game. But Ravens, give me the Ravens. Lamar Jackson's going to be too much. I don't like a team that's going into the playoffs on a 4-game skid. I don't like it. Give me the Ravens.
Here we go.
Really?
Pittsburgh's going to the Super Bowl. Here we go.
Really?
They give Lamar Jackson problems. I think they were willing for this matchup. I think they're up for it. Give me Mike Tomlin on the road. They'll at least cover. They will cover 9.5. But yeah, I think the Ravens are probably they'll cover. Ravens will probably win. But I do think the Steelers cover in this game.
Yeah.
But
I
I
mean,
will pick the Ravens outright. Nine and
yeah.
a
I
half is
mean,
just too much for this matchup, in my opinion.
no, I agree. Like I said, anytime you have a divisional game in the works, a 10 point, not a damn near 10 point spread, that's going to be a lot.
Yeah.
Let's finish out the AFC side of this bracket. This might be one of the most fun games of the weekend. We have the number 7 seed Denver Broncos going to Buffalo to match up against the number 2 seed Bills. I mean, we just spent this whole last part of the pod talking about how Josh Allen is going to be the MVP. This is gonna be a fun game. There's gonna be some fireworks in this game. The thing with this Bills team, like we said, they don't have a ton of firepower. Josh Allen elevates this team into really what it is. And that's why we said he was the MVP. The defense is suspect on the Bills. What they do about as good as any other team in the league, if not better, is they take away the ball. That's what they do. They're going to be a bend, don't break. Probably going to break against this Denver offense. I mean, anytime you have Sean Payton on your sideline, you're going to have a good offense. I think we all knew that Bo Nix and Sean Payton were going to be a match made in heaven, and it has been. There's going to be some fireworks in this game. I think Denver has a chance because of what Bo Nix is doing on offense. If you're gonna watch this game, you're gonna see a lot of screens from Denver. You're gonna see a lot of play action. You're gonna see some deep shots to Cortland Sutton down the sideline. Buffalo, this is gonna be a closer game, I think, than people are gonna in terms of upset factor, a 2 seed versus a 7 seed, that's kind of deceiving. My pick is Bills. I think the Bills are gonna win, but I think the Broncos make it super interesting.
I agree. I've been the Broncos, this matchup is one like in the AFC at least is like the one I have circled most of a possible upset. Like an 11 o'clock game, well, 11 hour, like 11 Montana time or whatever clock game in Buffalo. Josh Allen's had the best season of his career. It just seems like somehow the Broncos will stay in this football game. Maybe I believe too much in Bo Nix, you know? It's just one of those things that I don't know. But I think the Bills, I think either maybe not pull away late, but maybe they win by 10 late. But I think it's going to be a really close game throughout. That Denver defense is so good. I'm curious, like we're talking about Pat Surtain earlier too.
Yep.
How willing is he going to be? Like his receivers aren't that good. Where like how willing are you going to be able to throw it at him? If you like, are you going to take that chance with Amari Cooper? Or are you going to take that chance with Khalil Shahir out there or Mac Hollins, like or Kean Coleman? Like, are you willing to do that? Are you willing to play with fire over there or not? I think it'll be an interesting deal for the Bills, but I think they find a way to win.
One thing that we haven't really seen this year out of the Bills that was prevalent, especially super early in Josh Allen's career, is design quarterback runs in the open field. I mean, he has 12 touchdown runs this year. A lot of those are going to be on short yardage. He broke one earlier this season, but I think like we said with Pat Surtain, they have Nick Bonito too.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's third in the NFL in sacks. Super underrated pass rusher out of Denver. This might be a game where Buffalo looks at Josh Allen and says, "Hey, we need you to run the ball this game." I'm
Yeah,
curious to see how they handle that. that situation. I wouldn't be surprised because, like you said, we have Pat Surtain. That's one corner that's going to be covering one receiver at a time usually. However, they don't have a ton of elite receiver help. They uh, James Cooks is going to be a receiving threat. You know, I don't know. I think they're going to run Josh Allen this game. I do.
I think this playoff the play I think the playoffs now that you're in changes everything. I think Allen's going to be using his legs a lot more in the playoffs than they did in the regular season. I think they protected him for the most part in the regular season. Where I agree, I think they're going to use his legs a little bit more and get him more involved for sure.
Yep. Yep. All right. Who's your pick? Bills.
Bills,
Nice.
Bills.
Let's go over to the NFC side. This is one of the more tragic stories, I think, in the playoffs. Uh, Last week we had the Lions and the Vikings face off against each other for the number one seed in the NFC. If you're a Vikings fan, unfortunately, you ended up losing the number one seed. Not only did you lose that, but you now have to go on the road, fly halfway across the country to LA as the fifth seed, going from the one seed to the fifth seed. That really sucks. And they have to play in the first round in LA against a Rams team that can be pretty dangerous. I wouldn't say that the Rams are a team that people would really be scared of when you look at the whole context of the playoffs. I don't. They're a dangerous team. They will beat you if you don't pay attention to them. Um, that's going to be a good game, I think.
Yeah.
I still think the Vikings win. I think they're going to be pissed off going into the game. They did not look good against the Lions. This
No, they did
this
not.
last game, they did not look very good. Sam Donald struggled in the red zone big time. Isn't it crazy how you go from being lifted on your teammates' shoulders in the locker room, spraying water and champagne, and Kevin O'Connell's looking all poetic, looking at that was a really cool moment for Sam Darnold. You go that from one week to the next, and you lose 31-9 in Detroit for the number one seed. That's struggle bus. That's struggle bus right there.
Life comes at you fast, man. It's pretty crazy.
It does. With that being said, I think Vikings won.
I just can't quit Matt Stafford. I just can't. I just can't do it. And like Cooper Cup, Puka, Kyron Williams, like there's just so many weapons. Is the defense good enough for the Rams to to hold up? I don't know. But people forget when they got all the boys back together for the Rams. I believe their first game back was against the Vikings. It was like a Thursday or Sunday night game, if I remember correctly. Let me double check here. But I believe they got everybody back. They played the Vikings and beat the Vikings, if I remember right, and it kind of kicked off a little run for them. That yeah, 30-20 at home, October
Yep.
24th,
I
and
think
then they
that was the
win.
Viking. I think that was the Vikings' first loss on the year.
It was, and then they went on to win. They went on to lose one more game that the rest of the season, and so I think they recreate the magic. I'm going to take the Rams. I love Sean McVay, love Matt Stafford, Cooper, like I said, Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua. I think I'm going with the Rams here. Close, like Lee Corso
Close.
would say, close.
Close. Moving on, we got the Washington Commanders traveling to Tampa Bay to face the number three seed Buccaneers. If you have spent any time watching BarnBurner sports content, you will know two things. One, Noah hates Lamar Jackson. Two, I have been riding the commies bandwagon all year long. This is going to be a Commanders upset for me. I'm big on this team, man. I love Jaden Daniels. I love everything that Cliff Kingsbury has been doing with that offense. I'm curious to see how the front matches up on both sides, the front seven and the O lines on both sides. I'm curious to see how that matches up. I can't wait to see Jaden Daniels make his playoff debut. I love Dan Quinn. I think he's a great head coach. I think he's put together a really good team there. On the flip side, god dang, do I love Baker Mayfield. I love him so much. He is he might be my favorite quarterback in the NFL. He's a guy I would love to snap a ball between my legs for. You know, he's that kind of guy. Subject or objectively rather, I think the Commanders are a better team. I think it's going to be close, but I think the Commies are going to come out of Tampa with a win.
I am on the Bucks. I believe in Mike Evans. I believe in Baker Mayfield just slinging that thing all over the place. Bucky Irving emerging as to the back that he is right now makes me really believe in this team as well. I think, don't get me wrong, what Jay Daniels, those guys have done, very impressive. I just don't think this is going to sound bad, probably. I don't think you win playoff games with your quarterback being, I mean, your wide receivers being Jamison Crowder, Terry McLaurin, and Zacchaeus. I don't think that's a good recipe to throw the football. Couldn't tell you who the Commanders' running back is. It's Brian Robinson. There you go. I don't think he's as good as Bucky Irving. I don't think is Austin Eckler even still playing football right now.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't know.
yeah, he had a touchdown last weekend.
Yeah, so I just believe in this roster for the Bucks more. Have a lot of guys still there from the Super Bowl run that know what the playoffs are about, know what to expect. This team is they're in the playoffs last year. It's just I think the Bucks are my team here in this one, and I agree. I think it might come down to the kicker, and the Commanders had kicker issues earlier in the year, and now the Bucks have had McLaughlin all year be one of the best kickers in the NFL this year.
Yep.
I think it could come down to a kick, and I trust the Bucks to make that kick more than I trust the Commanders.
You know what? The I think it's going to be a big deal the fact that the Buccaneers have playoff experience. A lot of
I
that
agree.
roster, like you said, they have been on that Super Bowl run a couple years ago. I love Baker Mayfield, but who would I be to ride the commies all the way to the playoffs? It's talking about how good they're going to be, talking about how good Jaden Daniels is going to be, and then at the last second, when they need me most,
I
bail.
respect what you're doing. I respect what you're doing. I just think Jaden Daniels, if he turns the ball over at all, like in the playoffs, is a bigger deal than it was in the regular season.
I
You
mean,
know,
everything that you do in the playoffs is amplified, whether it's
true.
good or bad. Jaden Daniels has showed that he has been able to take care of the ball. He's been able to take care of himself as a runner. So let's not forget he has like I want to say he has like let me look at this.
He
That's
broke RG3's record for rushing. I know that.
he did. I want to say he had somewhere around 800 rushing yards.
Sounds right.
Let me look. So he has 9 interceptions on the year. Turnovers haven't really been an issue. In terms of running the ball, he has almost 900 yards. He has almost 900 yards rushing. Can't really. 5 fumbles. That's not great. 5 fumbles is not good
Known
on
fumbler.
900 yards rushing. So that might be an issue in terms of taking care of himself, though. I think that's a bigger question in terms of your franchise quarterback. Yes, you would like him to take care of the ball. He doesn't really throw picks. Electric on the ground, can do everything you need him to do through the air. They're gonna need Terry McLaurin to have a good game. They're gonna need Terry McLaurin and Zach Ertz. Zach Ertz has really been the second option
That's
for
true.
these guys. It's cool to see him in that uniform doing what he's doing this year. Uh, no, I'm sticking with the commies, man. Sticking
It's
with them.
fair. It's fair. Then the final game that we need to get to is an interesting, another 10 win plus win NFC North team going on the road to the Eagles. And we don't know the status of Jalen Hurts at the moment.
As of today,
Still
he
in the
has
protocol.
he is still in the protocol. As of today, has not practiced. Not sure. As of today, January 7th, don't know if he's going to play. If he doesn't play, that is a huge deal. You can talk about how good Kenny Pickett and Tanner McKee looked like last week. That's not it.
No,
that's
it's
not the situation that you're in right now. You're in playoff football. I saw someone bring up the whole Nick Foles situation with the Eagles a while ago. That's totally different. Nick Foles was a he had been a he had been a very productive, winning starting quarterback during his career. He had started games before the playoffs had started. You can't throw in a Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee and expect to win a playoff game. I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is going to be good to go. I think this is his second week in the protocol now.
yes, it is.
Yeah, first of all, I hope he's all right because once you get into that second week of the protocol, you're like, oh shit, like something has to be tough there.
Yeah.
If Jalen Hurts wins, Eagles are going to win. Or if Jalen Hurts is in the game, Eagles win. If he is not in the game, Green Bay wins. I think it's as simple as that.
I think I'm going Green Bay either way. I think I had Christian Watson being out's a huge deal, but they've also just been so weirdly their receivers have been so weirdly used all year that I feel like it doesn't really matter in
No,
a way.
they kind of blur together between Romeo Dobbs, Jaden Reed, Christian Watson. They kind of all blur together.
100%. So I think, and Josh Jacobs, the way he's playing like he's playoff football. He seems like he's ready to go. I like this Packers team, I think, more than I like this Eagles team, but it's close. Another
I
one.
think,
This is a great matchup.
yeah, I think that the differentiating factor for Philly, besides the quarterback situation, obviously you would love your starting quarterback to be in this game. It's gonna be the offensive line. It's gonna be Saquon Barkley. I still think they have a
100%.
chance if Jalen Hurts doesn't play. But when you have probably the second, probably the second best offensive line in football this year behind the Lions, I mean, I think you always have a chance. And that defense has been looking great. Zach Bond has been awesome. Another Saints player. He has been in some defensive player of the year conversations. He transitioned from a really a pure edge rusher into an off-ball linebacker this year. He's been stacking up double digit tackle games back to back to back to back. It seems like every week. That
He's been
defense is that
unbelievable.
that defense is great. Vic Fangio has done an awesome job with that defense. I think it's going to be the Eagles. That Packer squad is fun to watch. Jordan Love has had a pretty good year. I still think it's going to be the Eagles.
Yeah, you're probably not wrong, but I'll ride with the pack.
I like it. I like it. Last question for you. Who is your Super Bowl matchup and who wins? Got to say it now.
Right now, Lions, Bills, Lions win.
My pick is Lions Ravens. Lions win. I do not want to see Kansas City in an AFC championship game even.
Yeah,
Don't want to see it.
they're gonna get there. They're gonna
I
get
don't want
there.
to see it.
I
I
think
don't
I
like
think what
I don't like the Arrowhead Invitational. I don't like it. I think the Chiefs are going to beat the Chargers. I think the Ravens are going to beat the Steelers. Ravens beat the Chiefs. Ravens go to the Super Bowl. Lions go to the Super Bowl after they beat probably. It'd be fun to see the Commanders go make a run for the NFC Championship game. I love that. Lions make it out of the NFC. Lions win the Super Bowl.
I think I'm gonna if I'm doing like AFC Championship, I'll go Lions, Bucks in the NFC Championship,
Ooh.
and I'll go Chiefs. I'll also go chalk there, probably Chiefs, Bills
Yep.
in Arrowhead, and I think Josh Allen scores with 0 seconds left this time instead of 13.
And you said Lions were your pick to win the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah,
Congratulations, Detroit. You were the BarnBurners Super Bowl champions. Don't need
it's a
to
good
play the
thing these
game.
are on paper. Nothing could go wrong.
Don't need to play the game anymore.
Nope, it's over.
Detroit, your drought is over. Congratulations on the Super Bowl.
Can we get an
All right.
AP vote over here? Can we please get an
Oh
AP
no,
vote over here?
no kidding. I mean, we've been talking about this for a couple weeks now. Can we get some ball knowers? We get some
Yeah.
ball knowers with some AP votes out here. Man. All right. Any last things that you want to say before we head out?
No, I don't think so. I'm excited for these matchups. I think we got a lot of good games. I'm sure some of them will turn into blowouts somehow, but I think
Probably.
we
I
got a
mean,
lot of fun
if
matchups.
history if history serves itself.
Yeah, on paper it looks like it's going to be a fun weekend, but we'll see what happens. I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a great weekend of football. We're going to be watching it. If you want to stay up to date on what's happening in football this week, go check out our socials on BarnBurner Sports, on BarnBurner Bets. We're going to be putting out a bunch of content during this week as football comes to a peak. Can't wait to watch. Love you guys. See you next week.